Okay, mathematicians, we're back. All right, so we've been exploring ways to represent division as a fraction. Today, we're going to continue this learning by representing the quotient of a division equation as a fraction or mixed number using visual models. Okay, so let's look at our problem. It says, a farmer pours 5 gallons of water equally into 4 buckets. How can you determine the amount of water in each bucket? All right, so I need to think about what's going on in this situation. All right, so I know I have this farmer that's filling buckets with water. All right, he needs to put the same amount of water in each bucket. That same amount that's making me think, okay, that means I'm equally sharing this water amongst the buckets. Okay, I know I have 5 gallons of water, 5 gallons of water, and then it says I have 4 buckets. 4 buckets. Okay, so he has these 5 gallons of water that he's pouring into 4 buckets. All right, a division sentence that I can use or show this mathematically would be 5 divided by 4 equals question mark. Because we don't know right now. We have to figure that out. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a representation to help me determine how much water is in each bucket. I'm using rectangles. Okay, so I have to figure out how to divide or equally share my gallons of water. All right. So I have 5 gallons of water in 4 buckets. Okay, so here I have my 5 gallons of water in rectangles, and then I have 4 longer rectangles representing my buckets. Okay, so just making an estimate, to make sure that our answer is reasonable, I know that each bucket can hold at least 1 gallon of water, okay, because there are more gallons than there are buckets. So my estimate will be that my answer is going to be greater than 1 gallon of water. All right, so I have my 5 rectangles representing my 5 gallons of water and 4 longer rectangles representing my 4 buckets. All right, so the farmer, he can go ahead and just start pouring 1 gallon of water in each bucket, right? There's enough for each bucket to get 1 whole gallon of water. Bucket 1 is going to get a gallon. Bucket 2 is going to get a gallon. Bucket 3 is going to get a gallon. I have to cross out what I have poured into the buckets. All right, and then bucket 4 is going to get a gallon as well. So we can cross that out. All right, now I see I have 1 gallon remaining. Okay, so since I have 4 buckets, what I can do is partition my last gallon into 4 equal parts, or fourths, to share it equally. Let me go ahead and do that. So here's 1/4 of a gallon. 1/4 of a gallon. All right, what I'm going to do is give each bucket, or pour 1/4 of a gallon into each bucket. You get 1/4 of a gallon. You get 1/4 of a gallon. 1/4 of a gallon. 1/4 of a gallon. And that gets rid of this last gallon. Mind you, we already had poured 1 gallon into each bucket. So now our buckets are full. We originally poured 1 gallon into each bucket. Then we partitioned our last remaining gallon into fourths because there are 4 buckets. And we poured 1/4 gallon of water into each bucket. Now we don't have any more water and our buckets are filled. And if I look at it, I can see that each bucket has the same amount of water. 1 1/4 gallons of water. So 1 gallon and 1/4. So 1 1/4 gallons of water. I can write this out in an equation. 5 divided by 4 equals 1 1/4 gallons. All right, but I'm thinking about another way that I can share these 5 gallons of water equally into the 4 buckets. I can do it similar to what I did in the previous lesson with my runners equally sharing those 3 miles. I have my 5 gallons, so my 5 rectangles represent my 5 gallons of water. What I can do is partition each rectangle into fourths, just like I did this last remaining gallon, just like I did in yesterday's lesson with my runners. So I'm taking partition each one into fourths. And make sure 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. I have my 5 gallons and I'm partitioning into fourths. All right, each fourth is going to represent a bucket. All right, I need to show that I'm sharing the water into the 4 buckets evenly. So I'm going to label each part to show this. Bucket 1, bucket 1. This will be bucket 2. Then I have bucket 3. And last, bucket 4. All right, and I need to determine the amount each bucket holds. So I'm going to count the fourths with the same number as each number represents a bucket. All right, so let's see. Let's just focus on bucket 1. Because if we figure out how much one bucket holds, then we'll know how much each bucket holds. Because we are equally sharing the water. So they should all have the same amount of water. All right, so bucket 1 has 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4, 5/4. Okay, so bucket 1 has 5/4 gallons of water. So that tells me that each bucket has the same amount of water. So each bucket has 5/4 gallons of water. I can write this out, similar how I did in the first strategy. 5 divided by 4 equals 5/4 gallons. But I know I can't leave that like that because that's improper. So let me think. I know 4/4 is equal to 1 whole. So take 4/4 away from 5/4. That leaves me with 1/4 left. So I know 5/4 gallon is the same thing as 1 1/4 gallon. All right. I can clearly see if I'm looking back on strategy 1 that even though I solved my problem 2 different ways, I still have the same answer because 1 1/4 gallons is the same thing as 5/4 gallons. All right, so the farmer needs to pour 5/4 or 1 1/4 gallons of water in each bucket. So I'm going to write that out in a sentence. There will be 1 1/4 gallons of water in each bucket. All right. So just thinking about what we just did, so we can represent division as a fraction. So division can be represented as a fraction. All right, just like when we help the farmer divide the gallons of water into buckets. All right, the numerator, or what we are sharing, is the dividend, and the denominator, or how we are sharing or partitioning, is our divisor. So in this situation, our dividend was the number of gallons, or what we are sharing. That's our dividend, what we are sharing. All right, and our divisor is how we are sharing. How are we partitioning whatever it is that we're sharing? So that's the number of buckets. That's our divisor. So in the farmer's problem, Our number of gallons is what we were sharing. Those 5 gallons was what we were sharing. And then our buckets, there were 4 buckets. That's how we're sharing, how we partitioned our gallons into fourths. So see, I can represent division as a fraction. So my 5 divided by 4 is the same thing, 5/4. That's my number of gallons divided by my number of buckets. My dividend divided by my divisor. All right, so now what I want you to do is I want you to give it a try. I'm going to show you your problem, and I want you to pause the video, okay? And I want you to read and make sense of what this problem is asking you to do, okay? Then I want you to make an estimate just to make sure that your answer is reasonable. Remember, I made an estimate that my answer will be greater than 1 whole. Well, guess what? My answer ended up being 1 1/4, which was greater than 1 whole. So I want you to make an estimate as well, and I want you to create an equation to match your scenario, this one, okay? And then draw your visual models to help you solve the problem. Okay, pause the video, mathematician, and give it a try. All right, let's go over it. It says a baker has 3 pounds of oats. He pours the oats equally into 5 bags. What is the weight of oats in each bag? Okay, so I have my 3 pounds of oats, and he's pouring the oats equally into 5 bags. So the oats are what's being shared. So that will represent my dividend. So that would be my numerator. All right, so that would be my 3. And then my bags is how they're being shared, or how am I partitioning the pounds of oats. 5. So an equation I can write out would be 3 divided by 5 equals, let's say, B. All right, so if you're using strategy 1, first strategy that I showed you, what you could have did was you have your 3 pounds of oats. There's 1. There's 2. There's a 3rd. And then you have your 5 bags. And LB stands for pounds. You didn't know. Okay, so I don't have enough to just give each bag a pound. But I know I have 5 bags, so I can partition my pounds of oats, into fifths. Make sure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and pour a fifth, because each one of these represents a fifth of a pound. I'm going to pour a fifth into each bag until I run out of pounds to give out. So each time I do it, I'm going to cross one out. So I'm going to cross this one out. You get a fifth. All right, you get a fifth. You get 1. You get 1. And you get 1. All right, so I've already gotten rid of 1 pound. So we don't get it mixed up, I'm going to use different colors. All right, next I'm going to cross out this one. You get a fifth. You get 1. And you get 1. You get one and you get one. All right, now we've given out 2 pounds. We've equally shared 2 pounds. We have 1 more pound to equally share. All right, you're going to get a pound, a fifth of a pound. So are you and you and you and you. And I messed this one up. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oop. We're going to act like we don't see that one. We're going to pretend like that one was the one there from the beginning. There we go. All right, now, so if I go back and look into my bags, I see that I have 1 fifth plus another fifth plus another fifth. Let's see, 1 fifth, 1 fifth plus 1 fifth. That's 3 fifths. Okay, so each bag has 3/5 pounds of oats in it. So my 3 divided by 5 equals B. My B is 3/5 pounds of oats. So the weight of oats in each bag would be 3/5 pounds of oats. If I was to do this the other way, strategy 2, like the runners, I'm going to draw out my 3 pounds. So each rectangle is going to represent a pound of oats. 1 pound. And I'm going to partition or cut up my pounds into 5 parts because there are 5 bags. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, cut up into fifths. And each fifth, each part is representing a bag. So I got 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, 4, 4, 4, and then 5, 5, 5. So let's focus on bag 1, because if we figure out bag 1, we know all the rest of them because they should have an equal amount. So bag 1 has 1 fifth, 2 fifths, 3 fifths. So same thing. So my 3 divided by my 5 equals 3/5 pounds of oats. So if we was to write this out in a sentence, our answer would be there will be 3/5 pounds of oats in each bag. Okay, mathematicians. So today, as you do your practice problems, remember that when we are sharing equal amounts of something, we can use a representation to show how we divide it. We can represent division as a fraction with what we are sharing as our numerator and how we are sharing it as a denominator, because we know that the division bar is just simply another way to symbolize division. Okay, comments? So remember to soar and do all your digital learning day work. All right, let's focus on not only the A today for being accountable for our learning, but the S for being safe as well. All right, I know you still want to go out and have fun and play with your friends, but regardless of whether you see the snow or not, there might be ice out there, all right, that you can't see. So come and stay safe and stay warm, all right, and I can't wait to see you back in the classroom. Have a great rest of your day, Comets.